Tonight's Ask Leah question comes from one of my teenage children who asked me for some tips on critical thinking after an awesome dinner conversation where I said this was a skill that was needed more than ever in the world right now, but one that people seem to be losing the ability to do. And he said to me, well, how do we get better at critical thinking, Mum? What would I actually do if I was doing this? And I thought it was good advice to share with you too. I'm going to share 3 basic strategies to help you think more critically at a time when misinformation is everywhere. The first tip is pause before you react and even ask yourself, am I sure this is true? Now, with AI taking off, there are deep fake photos and videos everywhere. So just assuming that because you see something or someone in power says something is true, that must be it. Critical thinking, at least pause and ask yourself, well, who's saying this? Am I really sure it's true? Second tip, get curious and ask better questions. Okay, so what evidence is there to support this? What else could be true? And whose voice isn't here in the conversation? Because it might be true from that person's perspective, but is it an intersectional representation or is it just people of one demographic or background speaking to this issue? So ask better questions. And the third tip is seek different perspectives from your own. So deliberately seek out different opinions. Now, let me stress here, I am not saying that you have to go down the rabbit hole and listen to people on the really extreme end of any side of politics and, listen to really hurtful, harmful stuff. I am not saying that. But what I am saying is maybe you will check a news site that has a different leaning to you, or you'll speak to that colleague who's got a different culture or background, or the friend or person in your community who's of a different generation to you, and seek their perspective. And it doesn't mean you have to agree with them, but again, get curious there. Tell me more about why you think that way. And even if you don't agree, you can understand. You can seek to understand. Now, not only does this give you more context and different perspectives, but it does broaden your horizon and it sharpens your thinking so that if you do decide that you want to argue a point or try to influence other people, you do that from a better base because you've got a better understanding of the way they see the world. So pause before you react. Get curious and ask better questions and deliberately seek out different perspectives. If we were all doing that, we would all be going a lot further and the world would be a much better place in terms of our critical thinking and seeing each other as human. If you have a communication, leadership, emotional intelligence, self-management question you'd like answered, send it through and I'll do my best to answer it for you next week. Cheers.